originally from the Netherlands. I've been working in the women in leadership space for a number of years now. And together with Catherine in my previous organization, we had launched the Global Women on Boards program a couple of years ago that really brought together ladies from Kenya, ladies from Malaysia, Southeast Asia, wider Africa and the globe to position women onto more globally oriented boards. And a natural progression from that was to run a number of mentoring programs. I see Mike with us, Wambui. We've had, they've been strong supporters of the network for many years, and also strong supporters of mentoring and mentorship. So this is really, as I know some of you are fairly new members to the network, this is a great segue into seeing what the network has to offer and really looking, exploring all the members within the network, exploring the wider ecosystem, the men and women that support this mission, and of course preparing you to either get onto your first board or to really succeed and thrive on the board or boards that you're already on. So for those of you familiar with the network, there's all kinds of things that are being offered, from board positioning to power talks to corporate governance programs. So I encourage you to look at what else is being offered in complement to this board mentoring program. What we hope is that through the next 6 months, you'll have some interesting conversations and some eye-opening discussions and moments that will help excel and accelerate your journey to the board. I feel like we're really kind of preaching to the choir here, but it is something that's quite important to keep reminding us of. The whole conversation around gender diversity and inclusion and why it matters. Studies from all over the world have shown that diversity is important. It's important for business performance. It is a business case. It is not just a human right, but it is also good for business. If you look at within the context of Kenya specifically, the Kenya Institute of Management has been carrying out research to track board diversity and inclusion and has recorded significant progress over even just the last 9 years. If you look at gender representation on publicly listed companies, we were at 12% in 2012, and gradually over the years, by the end of 2021, by the end of 2019, we saw an increase to up to 23% women on boards. Now, COVID has put a little bit of a dent in that globally, but we are expecting that to jump back. So we're well on our way to having some sort of parity. We're far from 50%, right? The goalpost initially was getting 30% women on boards, and I think we're moving that goalpost now to 50% and effectively trying to put us out of business, right? If we've done our job, this will no longer be an issue. It will just be business as normal. Until then, though, if we go to the next slide, we kicked off the group board mentoring program last year as the pilot. On the next slide, please. Because we found that mentoring is a critical component to increasing your visibility, to increasing your capacity building, to increasing your confidence and comfort level as you journey to the board or to your next board. And through the Women on Boards network, we work closely with a number of experts to provide mentorship opportunities. We have mentorship for young boys and girls, because people keep saying, hey, why don't you start with the youngsters? And so we have expanded to that as well, right? But we're really focused on supporting individuals like yourself to make sure we get you onto boards and that you thrive once you get there. We've seen a growth rate of 300%, which is fantastic. We currently have 650 registered members in the network and over 1,700 participants. Another piece of information I just want to leave with you is the network has placed more than 120. I think possibly the number has gone up recently, has placed more than 120 women on boards. That includes publicly listed boards, committee boards, NGOs, and so forth, which is just spectacular. For those of you who are in this space, you know that that has not been easy, but we've definitely been picking up momentum. On the next slide, I'd like to just give an overview of what's in store for today. So we're going to spend a few minutes looking at the program overview. I know that most of you have received the brochure and you're quite aware of what's coming in the next, well, for today and also in the next couple months. And then I'm really excited. The more interesting part is really we've got Wambui and Judy here today that are going to share their perspectives from a mentor and a mentee. And so they'll be able to share some real life examples, learnings, and maybe some tips and tricks that you might be able to apply in your own mentee and mentor journey. We will then introduce our mentors. We've got a fantastic lineup of mentors. I think the mentees have all been notified of who their mentor is. So I hope you've done a little bit of research on them in preparation for today. And then we will have Eveline come in to close. And then really the highlight of today is your meet and greet with the mentors to close today's kickoff. Okay. On the next slide, please. Just as a quick overview, this is a program that's going to run over the next 6 months with a minimum of 5 touch points. So today we're going to have the kickoff. We'll give an overview. We're going to share a few guidelines, some roles and responsibilities. And of course, introduce you to your respective mentors and peers in your group mentor groups. We have asked, and your mentors have very kindly agreed to commit to at least 3 group mentoring meetings. Of course, those numbers that could increase at the discretion of you and your mentors, depending on availability. We want to be very cognizant that we're incredibly grateful for our mentors, but they're also very successful and very busy individuals. So we do expect you to meet at least 3 times over the next couple months. And then at the end of October, we will come back together to reflect and conclude this program. And the highlight of the reflection is really a sharing by the mentoring groups and their mentors in a closed door reflection on some of the key learnings, so that you can also hear what other groups have discussed and shared in this program. On the next slide, please, I'd like to ask you to please join me. I think we're going to slido.com. Is that right? Yes. I'm going to quickly share my screen. Don't worry. The QR code will pop up again. If you can grab your hand phone or open a browser and join me at slido.com. You can also scan the QR code that's exhibited in the top left corner. And the event code is WOBN. And my first question to you is, what does mentorship mean to you? And if you could just, I guess, summarize that in a word or in just 2-3 words, what does mentorship mean to you? I have set it up that you can give a few different responses. Okay, standing on the shoulders of giants. That sets the bar pretty high. Fabulous. Guidance. Hand holding. Interesting. Growth. Inspiring each other. Guidance pops up big. Support and growth. Okay. We'll wait for a few more responses. There's how many of us are in the audience today? About 28. I'll wait for a few more responses to come through. Support, colleague, experienced person. Getting someone to walk with me in my journey of discovery. I like that. Inspiring each other. Okay. So the big ones coming out here are guidance, support, hand holding, another way of expressing that, and growth and support. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I then have one more question for you. What do you hope to achieve with this mentoring program? And that's a question for both the mentors and the mentees, and it will be anonymous. Okay, so growth and breakthrough, improve my leadership skills, hand holding, growth to be able to join a board or a committee, grow in your leadership, find clarity in my journey, get equipped to serve on a board, get opportunities to serve on a board, to learn and grow, effectively participate as a board member, confidence, growth, join a board, yes, growth, clarity, and networking, grow in my journey, helping my mentor to grow in competence and confidence. I love that. It's a two-way. It needs to be a win-win. It's a two-way street. Absolutely. Networking, growth, how to position myself, improve on board skills and knowledge. Fabulous. We're getting some great answers here. And I think we can probably help address most of these things. Great. Thank you so much. Kantai, can I hand it back over to you? Just to pull up the slides, please. All right. So what I'd like to just do for a few minutes on the next slide is just give a bit of an overview or define the difference between mentoring and coaching. And the reason we define that difference is because they're quite different. Often people interchange coaching and mentoring, but it's not fair on you and your expectations, and it's not fair on the mentor if we don't establish the difference. So coaching is where you have a very defined short-term intervention that's aimed at performance improvement or developing a particular competence. And this is usually in the form of a more formal and structured process that enables learning and development. And so you're addressing a very particular performance improvement. Mentoring is quite different from that. So mentoring is more of a long-term process based on mutual trust and respect. And the main difference really is your mentor is not a coach. Many of your mentors, some of them may have coaching certifications, but they've joined this program to serve as a soundboard and not as a coach. And what that means is they will use their own experiences as a reference point. And that's really important for you to keep in mind because you're learning from them based on their experience, not because that's necessarily right or wrong or anything like that. And it's not prescriptive, but it is the experience that they have, and they can share advice based on their own experience. And they're really here to help and support you in managing your learning in order to maximize your potential. So that includes helping you develop your skills, improve your performance, or become, that person, that board member that you really want to be. On the next slide, just very quickly. So the objectives of this board mentoring are to assist you as the mentees in your growth and development. So I love that that's what many of you had set out as what you'd like to achieve in this program. We're here to encourage the sharing of knowledge and experience that support productive involvement and understanding in board matters. The relationship will provide a private and confidential learning experience, and we want to facilitate trusting and meaningful as well as ongoing key relationships. As you go through this, you'll see that you're being provided with a network platform to have increased visibility, in particular within the board circles. And then the additional power of group mentoring is really that you're going to have peer-to-peer learning. I think we often underestimate that we learn a lot from those who are on that journey with us. We learn a lot from those who've been on that journey before, but also those who are actually walking in our shoes right now at this time. Okay. On the next slide, please. Many of you will have either, obviously our mentors are all very established mentors, and many of you as mentees in this program will have been mentors to more junior people as well, and you'll be quite familiar with it. But as an example, an ideal mentoring session, you really want to establish a relaxed but a business-like atmosphere. Especially because our groups are about 5 to 6 people. You want to gain consensus on the purpose of that meeting, and you'll want to gain consensus ahead of the meeting when you schedule it, but also as you kickstart the actual meeting. For the mentors, we'd like to encourage you to explore the issues from the perspective of the mentees, right? It's easy for us to go, oh, I did it this way and I did it that way, and I think maybe you should too, which of course there's a lot of value to that. But I do encourage you to view it from the perspective of the mentees because they have had their own leadership journey, right? Then obviously you can delve right into the discussion, summarize, and then especially in a group setting, I would encourage you at the end of the meeting to summarize so that we're all on the same page, so there's no misunderstandings, and also agree on the agenda for the next meeting and possibly set the time for the next meeting, because you'll find that often the biggest challenge is purely the logistics of trying to find a mutually convenient time. Okay. On the next slide, please. In the pilot program last year, people had asked for some recommended topics, and I know many of you have set goals for this program, which I encourage you to share with your groups and your mentors. And we've compiled a few topics that you may find interesting. And again, you'll want to discuss this with your mentors. Securing a board role, that's obviously something that popped up on the Slido when we asked earlier what you hope to achieve. But there's also other things like understanding board dynamics, board etiquette, managing conflict, managing challenges, or even as practical as polishing your board profile. So here are just a few examples, and we will share these slides with you so you can come back to these as a reference point later. Okay. On the next slide, this is really sort of the last overview. For roles and responsibilities, for the mentees as a group, we encourage you to decide on your objectives, your priorities, and your expectations. It is a 6-month program. There are really only 3 touch points. So setting your objectives up front will make it easier for you as a group and for your mentor to help you meet those objectives. Be willing to learn, question and challenge respectfully, be open and authentic, and also be sure that if you need to set boundaries, you are welcome to do so. And please do communicate those to your groups and your mentors as needed. And remember, this is a self-discovery and self-learning journey. So don't expect to be told what to do. And maintain, of course, I think it goes without saying that these conversations need to be kept confidential. And we also encourage you and really request that you stay committed to your development journey. For mentors, similarly, we'd like you to challenge, stretch, and guide, but also be flexible and be willing to learn and be contemporary. Like I said, your leadership journey will be quite different from what some of the mentees will be experiencing. At the same time, encourage, support, empathize, and show enthusiasm, openness, and honesty. And of course, for both sides, maintaining that confidentiality and commitment is going to be critical. We will be doing a midway check-in, probably around sort of August time. Of course, if you do face any challenges, whether it's logistical challenges or something doesn't gel or the chemistry is not there, please let us know. Kantai and I are always available. You've got our email addresses. Please do reach out to us if there are any issues in the process. All right. So with that, I think on the next slide, I'm very excited. And of course, if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat box and we can address those at the end. But I'm really excited to now introduce two fabulous ladies. Wambui Mbesa, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Intrasoft International East Africa. She's got more than 20 years experience in the technology sector. I'm sure many of you already know her. Wambui, thank you so much for joining us again for this program. And we're delighted to hear from you, in particular from a mentor's perspective. And what I'd like to do is also introduce at the same time Judy Warui, who's a board member at Safaricom Investment Cooperative. They were not mentor-mentee previously, but they both will be able to provide quite a bit of insight. Wambui and Judy, can I hand it over? Who of you would like to kick us off?
I could go.
Okay.
This is Wambui. I could go. Hi, everybody. And good to see all the lovely faces. So just a brief introduction. First of all, the email that came to me said I had 2 minutes to summarize my experience. So,
Sorry, can I just interject? We will have the mentors introduce each other later, and that will be about 2-3 minutes. But if you'd like to spend about sort of 5-10 minutes sharing and maybe providing some advice from a mentor's perspective, that would be fabulous.
That's okay. So just a brief introduction. Yes, I am the CEO of, actually we did rebrand. So we are net company Intrasoft East Africa. We're an IT solutions and services company. I had the subsidiary for East and Southern Africa for the last 7 years. Before that, I was working for various multinationals, including Microsoft, where I spent about 6 or so years. And then, my own company, I was running my own IT company. So that's briefly my background. I also sit in a few boards for small IT companies, Connector, M2M, but I also sit in the Stanbic Bank board and the Standard Bank Holdings PLC board. So yes, so my board experience is, from, the banks to the technology companies. So obviously very delighted. Last year I had a group of, I believe, 6 ladies, wonderful ladies. They chose the name Vipepels as the group name. I'm sure you will understand today that it's important to have a name. So it was called Vipepel, and it was a fantastic learning experience. You go in as a mentor, and you're ready to mentor, but eventually you realize you're learning so much, even from the mentees. Many of you, or most of you actually, are accomplished in your own ways, and so there's a lot of wisdom that came from the group to me. But a few things, maybe just to point out. This journey became, for every individual in the group, I believe they all got different things from this journey. And it's one of those journeys where you have to drive the agenda as a mentee. And I could easily see, very easily from that group, that a lot of people were getting a lot of benefit from it. But, they show up, they're prepared, but you can easily come for a meeting, you're not prepared, you just show up. And the value you get is not as much as the value of those who are prepared. So like Marcella said, you agree on a topic beforehand. So, the group of mentees agree on a topic beforehand. And it's so important to dig into those topics before you meet, the next time. And because everybody is busy, including yourselves, I think it's important to just pace yourself. You have 3 weeks or so, or 1 month before your next meeting. So it really did help to start preparing early. And I can tell you the learning we did. I remember one of the ladies coming up with, I think she had just finished reading the book, Why Nice Ladies Don't Get the Corner Office or something anymore. And so she had these tools and everybody had to, go through the tools and evaluate themselves. I mean, I did enjoy that. I've read the book, but I never did the self-evaluation based on that book. So very important to just show up prepared and to participate. That's how you get the most value from these sessions. And then the topics. It's interesting. Yes, you're given the topics by suggested. You saw them on the screen, but we quickly realized, at least in that group, that many of them, it's not just about being board ready. It's about positioning themselves for the C-suite. It was about, personal branding and so on, because all these things are interrelated. So a lot of them did not, a few of them, not a lot, did not have any presence. I mean, even on LinkedIn, if you went and checked their profile, it was like, oh my goodness, they really needed to work on that. So it's not, it's a journey. And the first session we evaluated, everybody evaluated themselves, where are they? And then based on that, we decided where to start on this journey to place yourself, of course, position yourself for a board position. So I just encourage you in the first session, it's good to evaluate as a team what it is you want to achieve, where is it you want to go. All of you will have many ideas, but maybe just zeroing in on a consensus of about 3 or so, and then you pursue those, because you cannot do too many things. It's a very short period. And then I did enjoy personally meeting one-on-one. We had coffees with the different individuals, again, led by them, feeling Ombui, can we have a one-on-one? So for me, it's not necessarily, we have to meet in a group. I also, when time allows, in between my many travels, enjoy a coffee and so on. So again, this is driven by you. You can get what it is you set out to get, and the mentors are there, really committed. And I compared notes with 1 or 2 other mentors, committed and there for you. So take advantage. I think it's really a privileged position you're in. I didn't have this kind of resourcing, when I was younger. So my advice is just take hold of it and move with it. Somebody already in my group reached out to me and became my friend. We connected on LinkedIn, told me, hey, I'm going to be in your group. So I really appreciated that. And that's the kind of, showing up and really driving the agenda for yourself. Okay, so that's it for me. It's a good journey. All the best to every lady in this group.
Thank you very much, Ombui. Could I ask you, do you maybe have 1 or 2 thoughts or pieces of advice for your fellow mentors as we also continue to learn?
Who's the question for?
For you, Ombui. What have you learned as a mentor that might be helpful for the other mentors here?
I think just having a learning mindset, because I did learn quite a lot. And then something that was really confirmed, I always knew it. You expect a mentor and then mentee. They're learning from you, but mentorship can also be from bottom up. No politics intended in that statement. It can also come from the people you're mentoring. So just having an open mindset and be available. I really did enjoy working with the ladies I had on my team. So, and some of them up to now, we still engage and exchange ideas. Yeah, so that was the experience for me.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right. With that, I think I'm going to put the spotlight on Judy. Could you share from a mentee's perspective?
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hi, ladies. Really glad to be on the call. I was also asked to prepare for 2 minutes, so let me see how much I can do. For me, my mentorship experience was really interesting. Group mentorship, that was the first time for me. I've had one-on-one mentorship, but group mentorship, it was a real nice new experience. So for us, what we did, just like Wamboi's team, we started off by coming up with a name, and our name was Daraja, and we were thinking of bridging to the next level as ladies. So moving from using the mentorship experience as a bridge to the next level in where we wanted to go. We also appointed a liaison or a secretary. And this is one of the tips that I would like to give the ladies who are going to go into the mentorship teams. Having somebody who lies directly with the mentor is a good idea. Mentors are generally busy. You can't all be, calling them and emailing them and beeping them, So having just one person who's able to coordinate for the rest of the group is something that was very useful for our team. The other thing is this person was able to just do a summary, a short summary of notes just for everybody to ensure that we are all on the same page. So that helped a lot as well, so that we had takeaways from each meeting being posted on our WhatsApp group, and we're all able to contribute to that, and where you say this, you missed this point, or add on to this, and so on and so forth. The other thing that we did as the mentees is we had a session on our own where we agreed on broad objectives. What is it that we want to achieve? And we found that we had different ideas and different things that we were looking for, but we were able to narrow down into some broad areas that we wished our mentor to cover. And this really helped to focus, the energies, because you'll not have too many sessions with your mentor. So we're able to kind of come around with some broad areas and give that to our mentor to look at, to prepare for, and then walk us through the sessions that we had. Our mentor was one who was, traveling a lot. Just like one boy said, it's not always possible to have face-to-face interaction. So we were able to have virtual sessions. And here we were able to have the sessions with those who are available. Again, even the mentees are busy, so we were not able to always get everybody on board, but we were able to have virtual sessions, and whoever who was available got onto that, and then the notes that were shared were able to get everybody catching up or caught up. So we did have one face-to-face session. Our mentor was really generous, invited us over to her house, and we had a beautiful, beautiful afternoon where we just bonded and discussed, all sorts of things. Being women, we had a session where we went beyond, professional life to kids to, everything. We had that beautiful, beautiful session. And it also became, a spark to friendship and between the mentees. So we've formed bonds, and we are able to exchange notes as we go along, even as mentees on our own. So lessons learned. Well, one thing I must also point out is, yes, it's mentee driven. So who you pick to be your liaison, make sure that they are going to do the job of chasing your mentor and making sure that the mentor comes on to the meetings, and that you're having those sessions. One boy talks about preparing before. But I also want to mention that you do get homework. we were getting, asked to go and do this. Why don't you try this? What I would say is do the homework. There are little things that we were asked to do, to write down your profile. When we were talking about topics such as networking, we had this exercise where we were going through our cards, our network cards that we've picked along the way, and just seeing what we've done with those kind of cards. We also had a session where we were talking about personal profiling, and not just for the board, but even for jobs. And we were asked to sit down and answer the question, why should I employ you? And if you don't take the time to sit and do these exercises, then you kind of miss out on the learning of the entire mentorship. So those are some of the lessons that I learned at the sessions, and some of the tips that I would like to share with the mentees. It's a long-term session. It's a long-term really engagement or relationship. Even after the graduation, at the end of the session, keep in touch with your mentor, get time to, chat them, ask for help where you need it, soundboard, use them as a soundboard even beyond the mentorship period. So those are some of my takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy and Wambui. I think we have a few minutes. Are there any questions from the audience for either Wambui or Judy? Feel free to unmute and jump in. No questions? Too early?
I have a question for Judy. Maybe she can just walk us briefly through her personal objective when she was coming into the program, and probably was she able to achieve it, and maybe, yeah, just brief on that, just briefly.
Okay, thank you. For me, I had two broad objectives. One is just what I would call the future, being ready for the future, being future ready. That's one of the things that I really wanted to just seek from my mentor and understand, her journey. How did she prepare to be the CEO of this company? What are the things, what are the steps that she took that found her at this position? She was also a board member in a number of boards. How did she prepare herself for that future, before it, crystallized or materialized? So that is one of the things that I came on to the mentorship wanting to learn. The other one is networking. I was really keen to just learn how to network. You get to know a lot of people, you get to have a lot of, acquaintances, but how do you make this mutually beneficial at the end of the day, so that you're able to say that, I know this person and I'm able to draw this value from them, and these people know me and they're able to draw this value from me. So I shared that with our group, and we were able to incorporate other aspects of it. And some of the things that I learned were that, for instance, you have to offer yourself out for leadership. It's not something that will just happen. You have to consciously prepare and consciously just offer yourself out and take up those leadership positions. I must say that I recently did this and took on a board position at Safaricom Investment. Something that maybe I wouldn't have, ordinarily just done, come out of my comfort zone, because it's interesting. We admire these ladies who are sitting on the board, but when that time comes, you kind of feel like, let me pass for now. But this experience helped me to understand that it's learning. It's a learning journey for everybody in the room. Even I would dare say, even for Mike, who's been a chairman at boards that I've sat in, I've been a secretary to, and just admiring how he's done it. But I'm sure he also learns in the process. So it's a learning process. And I also learned that for networking, it's good to keep the networks alive even when you don't need anything from these people who are within your circle or within the influence that you wish to get into. So keep those networks alive. Just call people up, contact them, be at meetings where you know you're going to meet some of these people who you think would influence your future. Even when you don't need anything, offer to assist them with any particular thing that they would need at when the opportunity arises. And you'd find that you then develop a relationship beyond being the person who's always just asking for something, but also the one who can be relied upon to deliver something or to offer something. So those are some of the key lessons that I took away, having set my mind to join this program to learn from the other ladies. And of course it was also a great experience, just meeting all these ladies in various positions, you know, lawyers, business women, all aspiring to do great things. And it was an interesting experience. And I really encourage you to participate, prepare, and do the homework. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the question, and thank you for taking the question, Judy. Thank you both, Judy and Wambui, for sharing your experiences. I think I could see some people nodding and smiling and sort of frowning, so I think there was definitely quite a few points that resonated. Up next, we'd like to introduce our mentors. We'll pop up the slide to introduce them. We'll wait for that to load. So we've got 5 absolutely fantastic mentors with us for this program. We've got Rita Okuti. Rita, can I hand it over to you to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So my name is Rita. I am the chair of the board of directors of Kenya Pipeline Company. I also sit on a number of public and private sector boards. I have worked in the private sector for many years. I'm probably best known for the roles that I held in Safaricom and what I helped Safaricom to achieve. I'm looking forward to this program. I'm always looking to help women to just reach out and reach up, because sometimes you just need that extra push to get there. And also to share what I have learned on my journey. There is no point for you to make some of the mistakes I have made if you can avoid it, or I can also give you tips on how to move forward. So that's me in a nutshell. I think my mentee group will have a more elaborate introduction. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Rita. And I do apologize. So just to clarify, Rita is the chairperson for Kenya Pipeline Company. And I love that. Reach out to Rita. Like, that's going to stick. I think we're all going to remember that. Thank you so much. I think your mentees are definitely in for a treat. Okay. All right. Up next, I think we'll go. Ooh. We're back on the slides. There we go. Mike, I'd like to introduce you next. So we've got Mike Eldon. Like I mentioned earlier, he's been a big supporter for a number of years. He's the founder, chairman, and lead consultant for the Depot, which stands for the Dan Eldon Place of Tomorrow. Mike, can I hand it over to you to say a few words?
Thank you, Marcella. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Good to be with all of you. Including and not least Judy, of whom I have good memories when we were together at KCA University. You must call me afterwards to tell me how you're doing, Judy. And I just love this mentoring thing. I've done it with my children, who are now probably all of them older than anyone here on this call. And to the extent that I'm now mentoring grandchildren. I'm mentoring a grandson of mine here, Gituku, who is an IT executive, helping him with his next steps in his career. And I also do a lot of that through Rotary, which has these young people's Rotaract. We have a mentoring group in Rotary. And well, it's, I think, Women on Boards network that made me realize I am a champion of the women's agenda. They gave me an award last year for their perception of me. And I think it's not least because I'm a great supporter of my wife, Evelyn Mungai, who produced this book of her speeches, From Glass Ceilings to Open Skies, a few years ago. I'm a consultant, as you see, with the depot there, and I'm a director of companies right now. And actually, I see we have the current chair of the Kenya Institute of Management Council. I was in that position over 20 years ago. And so I've worked a lot with not-for-profits, with volunteer organizations, and in the private sector and with government. And I just love working in this mentoring and coaching types of roles, which occupies quite a bit of my life in this third age of mine.
Great, thank you so much, Mike. Absolutely, like you say, mentorship comes from all levels and goes to all levels. And I love that you've mentored your kids, your grandchildren, and of course, it really never stops, right? It's something that's within you and you continue to do. So thank you very much for your support. All right. We've got, we have two mentors that send their apologies. They could not be with us today. We've got Mary Wamai, who I'll do a quick introduction. And if you're in her group, I assume you've already done a bit of research on her. She is the Group Executive Director for Equity Group Holdings. She holds a master's degree in leading innovation and change from York St. John's University in the UK and a Bachelor of Laws from the University of Nairobi. She is a member of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya, Law Society of Kenya, and the Kenya section of International Commission of Jurists and Women Corporate Directors. She joined Equity Group as a publicly listed non-operating holding company in 2004 as company secretary and secretary to the board, and thereafter was appointed director of strategy in 2007. She served in this capacity until 2017, where she was appointed as the group executive director responsible for subsidiary oversight. Currently, the group has 7 banking subsidiaries in Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, Tanzania, DRC, Ethiopia, in addition to insurance, investment bank, and fintech subsidiaries. She does send her apologies, but we will be introducing, if you are in her group, we will be introducing you to her via email. The other mentor we have with us, as Mike alluded to just now, is Dr. Lydia Moriuki. Apologies for the mispronunciation. She also sends her apologies for not being able to make it. Dr. Lydia is a leadership and management expert and a policy and strategy analyst in the public sector with over 2 decades of experience in transformational leadership, turnaround management, public administration, and security management. She holds a PhD in strategic management and is a visionary trailblazer who has been challenging the status quo, and her most striking success is Pioneer County Commissioner, Kisii County. And as Mike said, she is now the chairperson of the Kenya Institute of Management. And if you're in her group, we will be introducing you to her via email. And then, of course, last but not least, we've got Wambui, who's joining us as a mentor again. I do want to just ask Wambui, is there anything else that you would like to add at this point? Okay. I don't hear
No,
anything.
I'm good.
Okay. Great. With that, we are actually ahead of schedule. So our gift to you is actually we're going to give you time back into your schedule. Before we do get to the meet and greet, I would love to hand it over to Averlyn for the closing remarks. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear and see me.
Yes, fabulous. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. So it's such an honor to be here at this time, and I wish the people who are actually going on this mentorship journey all the best. It's also good for you to know the other programs that we have at Women on Board. So this is one of them that you're participating, but we have others, such as the Global Women on Board. This one is a global program. So that involves training that cuts across borders. So we have that one, and I would really advocate if you're able to join that one, or even just be our champions and let other people know that we have the Global Women on Board program. And this one is actually done by TP. So we've had a trainer for years from Malaysia, and is the one who conducts the training. Then we also have the profiling. Sorry, he does the board profiling. Sorry, just for that. So the board, we also have the board profiling and personal positioning workshop. So that one is the one that is done by TP. This program is just to profile how to package yourself, how one can actually package yourself and be board ready. It's a program that has been running for a number of years, and I would really encourage us, if you're able to actually join, it's quite a good program. Then finally, we have the corporate governance virtual training. So it's a virtual training. It's actually a crash program for about a week, and I've attended. It's quite a good program because it delves into what it is corporate governance is, just in terms of the board and what goes on to the board if you've never been in a board. So it would be good if once you're done with this, if you can join, but then they're coming up soon. I would say you can actually join as you proceed with this, because the program you are on is 6 months. You are welcome to join, but also just share with others. So these are some of the programs that we have at Women on Board, and I am a member of the committee for the membership and programs department. So thank you. I think I'll hand it over. Thank you.
I'm speaking into that black hole. Thank you so much, Everlyn. Really appreciate that. In closing, really, I'd like to say thank you to all of you for making the time to attend, for your commitment and dedication. If you do have any questions, be sure to reach out to Kantai or myself. We are always available, or anyone else. Like Averlyn said, she's on the membership committee. Catherine, anyone, if you want to know more about the network, feel free to reach out to us or the mentors as well. With that, I know you're all keen to get to know each other and your mentors. We will be setting up, or we have set up, the breakout rooms. These are the mentoring groups. So just double check that you are indeed in the same group as the mentor that we had announced in the email yesterday. Kantai would have sent you all an email. There's just one last slide to look at, Kantai, if you don't mind, because we do have a few things for you to do when you join that breakout room. One, it'd be great for all of you to turn your cameras on again, so your peers and your mentors can see you. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. So do please turn on your cameras. Once you've done an introduction of yourselves, create a group name for you guys and make it memorable. We heard some interesting names earlier. Make it memorable. Appoint a primary contact person, as Judy was saying, really someone that can stay on the ball and help coordinate between the mentees and the mentor, as well as Women on Boards Network. Determine your preferred mode of communication, you know, whatever that might be, email, WhatsApp, you know, whatever. And also I would encourage you, because we do have a few extra minutes, if you and your mentors are available until, you know, for the full, till the end of the hour, set yourself some high level goals specifically for those 3 mentoring touch points. And then I also encourage you to please schedule your first mentoring session before the end of June. I know that doesn't give you a lot of time, but time will run away with us if we don't sort of commit and set, you know, pencil that into our schedules. Okay. With that, we are going to open the breakout rooms. I don't think there's anything you need to do. You'll be automatically transferred. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop back into the main room. Kantai, are we all set for the breakout rooms?
Yes, we are.
Great. Then I wish you all happy mentoring, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
And once you're done, feel free to log off. No need to come back into the main room. Have a great afternoon.